Let's talk Beyond the Gates for today, February 17th, 2026. In this episode, we opened up with the Grands. They're celebrating Valentine's Day. Um, Anita is taking a nap on the sofa, and Vernon wakes her up with flowers and a box full of salt water taffy. And they're talking and they're reminiscing about Valentine's Days of the past and about one time when she was, doing shows and she was on the West Coast and he was in DC because he had just got into the Senate, and so he came out and surprised her after the show, even though he had to leave, early the next morning. But he came and brought her some saltwater taffy, and they just make me warm and fuzzy. And they she serenades him, and they talk about, the cancer and everything. And she's like, I know that I can get through a lot of things in life, including this cancer, as long as I have you by my side. And I just love that for them. And then we have Kat and Nicole. They're on a mother daughter date, and I like that. Nicole says that, she had options for Valentine's Day, but Martin and Kat are her first loves, and so she would rather spend Valentine's Day with Kat. And Kat said that Tomas had to work, which is weird because, like, he's a lawyer. What exactly is he doing on Valentine's evening that he can't get away until midnight on the yeah, okay. But their Kat is texting Tomas. Nicole is texting her harem. I mean, she's texting um Kyle and Carlton, and then Martin and Martin and Smitty come in, and they greet their mom and sister, and he asked if we make this a double date, and they were like, no, you have the night without the kids, go and enjoy yourself. Down at Uptown, Ted and Shanice, they go for their Valentine's Day date, and it looks like Ted got the date wrong for the reservation. The reservation is for Valentine's Day 2027 and not Valentine's Day 2026. So they go down to Uptown, and Shanice is happy for anything. Mm. And I don't know what else to say, because I just don't like that. Like, you're the head nurse, you're a physical therapist, you got money, you make money, but I know that you don't make, like, you're not rich, but you make money, you live comfortably. Stop acting like you're not used to things. But I digress. Meanwhile, Danny and Andre, they come to celebrate their first Valentine's Day as a married couple at Uptown as well. And, they meet Shanice and Ted, and, they're exchanging pleasantries. And Danny is being on her best behavior. And she's being nice to Shanice, and she's being nice to Ted, because if you think back, since everything happened at the anniversary party almost a year ago. Almost a year ago. Um, Danny ain't really had nothing nice to say to Ted, so she's being very pleasant with him out of respect to Andre, because she says, Ted is Andre's family, so he'll always be in my life. And I'm like, okay, Danny, look at you being all mature. Um, then down at Orphe Jeans, Leslie and Eva are eating or whatever they're doing. And Leslie is like, why are you have a boyfriend now? Why aren't you with him? I'm gonna have to, scold Isaiah. And she's like, no, Isaiah's meeting me here. And she's like, here. why are you meeting here for Valentine's Day? I mean, sometimes Leslie ain't wrong, and I've never said that before. But that time she was not. But I digress. If you don't require much, you won't get much. But I digress. This is not the conversation, the time for that conversation. But he comes in and he gives her some weeds, I mean some flowers, that the 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 kids picked or something. I mean, I know like it's not all about the gifts and the presents, and I get that like wholeheartedly. But this lack of effort and the I don't know, it just don't sit right with me. And then Eva and Leslie get into it because she's like, this is the day for diamonds and champagne, and y'all, are being lackluster. And then she tells her mom, like, what has that gotten you? You here with me with no man, no date, or whatever. And, she tells her mom to leave. So she can be nasty with her mom when she wants to, but she also wants to protect her from her wrongdoing, which is crazy to me because make that make sense, Eva. And then Isaiah gives her a gift, and she's like, she feels bad because she doesn't want to be the girl that take. All she did was write him a note and a card, and he's happy about the card, and they're happy with the bare minimum relationship. I don't know. Meanwhile, Bill and Haley are at the hotel. He comes in with a floral bouquet. She thinks that's all he got her for Valentine's Day, but he did actually secure her that vacation home that she, was trying to get him to get. So she was excited and happy and wanting to practice for when they make love in every room of the house. And then there is Vanessa and Joey. John plays Kevin Collins on General Hospital, and he plays Joey on Armstrong on Beyond the Gates. And I said to myself, I should never have to be subjected to seeing Kevin Collins in the positions that I saw him in today. I'm just saying, it was too much for me. I am 38 years old. I will be 39 next month, actually, a month from this coming Saturday. And I'm too young to have witnessed what I witnessed today between Joey and Vanessa. But anyway, back at Uptown, like I said, the pleasantries were flowing between Andre and Danny and Shanice and Ted. And in comes Leslie, and she's calling Malone, to see if they can, get together because it's Valentine's Day. But he's at work and she hangs up on him because, like, she don't got nobody that want to spend Valentine's Day with her. Not even the man that she think that she got. Like, sucks to suck, huh, Leslie? Um, and then Shanice sees Leslie and she wants to go over and say something, which I don't think was necessary. And I'll tell you why, because I don't care about Leslie. But Leslie wasn't bothering anyone at the moment. So just let sleeping dogs lie. But I digress. She wants to say something, and Danny was like, "Oh, she's been terrorizing my whole family, including my parents. So let me be your backup girl." And they go over there and they have exchange words with Leslie, and she leaves and tells Danny and Shanice that she hopes that they, excuse me, hopes that they choke on a candy heart. And then she rubs up against Ted, which I don't understand why Ted, excuse me, why Ted allows her to touch him. But she rubs up on Ted, and then she leaves and she's back in her hotel room and she's alone, and she smashes the mirror because nobody wants to be bothered with Leslie, and her pain brings me joy. See y'all tomorrow. Let's talk Beyond the Gates for today, February 18th, 2026. So, in this episode, we start the episode with Bill and Haley. They're getting to the office, and Bill is basically telling Haley that she can work a couple hours, but then she's going back home. And she's trying to convince him that she is fine to put in a full day's work and that she's all right. And he was like, but just yesterday you were talking about how you're afraid to go home and everything. He was like, you're going to work a couple hours and then you're going home. So she's mad. She storms out of his office, and Tomas is in the hallway. And, he's like, I'm sorry, about what happened to you. And he's telling her, just, make sure, just let me, send things by the courier. You don't have to. And she just goes off and she's like, you trying to put me in my place? And she's just going off, going off, going off. And Bill overhears them and he's like, what's going on? And they go back into his office and she was like, um, basically like, I'm just trying to work. And Bill's like, girl, you going home because you too nervous and I can't have you here like this. And so he sends Caroline to take Haley back to the hotel. Then he goes off on Tomas because you think it was a good idea for you to upset Haley. And I think that between the conversation that Tomas had with Caroline and the conversation that he had with Haley today and her reaction and everything, I think Tomas is on to Haley. So what he gonna do? Because he kind of is in a rock and a hard place, because if he's quiet about it, then he letting this girl get over on his boss. But if he makes noise about it, he's potentially ruining his boss's marriage, which can potentially ruin his career. So what he do? Who y'all think Tomas was calling? Because he called and was like, can I see you right now? Who you think he was calling? Then we have Nicole and Danny. And Danny has popped up on Nicole in a immediately. Nicole is on high alert, and then he's like, calm down, everybody is fine. I'm just here because I need to tell you something. And she was like, okay, I'm bracing myself. What do you need to tell me? And basically, Danny is there to tell Nicole that she ran into Ted on Valentine's Day night and that he was on a date with Shanice. And Nicole's like, girl, I told you that I ran into them on one of my dates and that it's cool. Like, I'm cool with Shanice. I'm cool with Ted dating her. And Danny is like just trying to check in on her sister. And she's like, no, I'm just trying to make sure that you're real good. And she was like, no, I'm good. And then they're talking, and Nicole is telling her how, long as he ain't with Leslie, then he good. She didn't expect Ted to be with someone that she actually liked, but it's cool. And so Danny is being Danny, and she was like, tell me which one, if you had to choose gun to your head, which one would you choose, Kyle or Carlton? And she was like, they both serve a different need. Nicole cracks me up. And she's like, they both serve a different need. And she was like, why can't we be sisters that talk about our sex life? And then Nicole's like, girl, you married to my nephew. I don't want to hear that. And so Danny is also filling Nicole out because she kind of wants to fill her out because she thinks that, she has so much family and Andre only has Ted and Nicole. And so she wants to maybe be couple friends with Ted and Shanice just so that Andre can have someone. And it's so sweet to see her like be considerate of Andre, because Danny, I love me some Danny, but Danny don't be doing right by Andre. Sometimes. I digress. But anyway, so she want to kind of be couple friends with them, and she doesn't, but she don't want to step on her sister's toes because she a sister first and foremost. She said, if I got a scapula, then that's what I got to do. But Nicole was like, girl, go ahead and do what you got to do. I'm not, I'm good, which that's good. Good for Danny to check in with her sister, and good for Nicole to be good with it. Speaking of Nicole, she calls um Carlton after he talks to Ashley, and Ashley tells him he's a bit too eager. So now he goes into Nicole's office. Nicole invites him on a date to go see a play, an August Wilson play. And he was like, "Oh, I already seen it." So now he's trying to play games. He's trying to play hard to get boy by. Like you're doing way too much. Like way too much. Then we have Ted and Shanice, and Shanice is off today, and Ted was like, "Well, I'll clear my morning. We can spend time together. Let me call Carlton." But Carlton was like, "Yeah, I wish I could, tell you you can go, but I actually need you here." And they had to go back into the OR or whatever. And so Ted leaves to go back to the hospital, and then Nosy Shanice is over there peeping on Derek because he comes in with Ashley 2.0 on a little date. And apparently, Ashley 2.0 is drier than Ashley because he ain't really feeling her. And when she gets a call about her sister's sitter canceling and she has to leave, Shanice joins him and they're talking. And while they're talking, um, they talk about how the woman that he was on the date with, she's only talking fires, which is kind of like insensitive because he can't fight fires anymore. But I mean, that's how they know each other. So that's all she knows to talk. And you know how first dates can be awkward. So, I mean, and she was like, Shanice was identifying with the fact that she wouldn't know what she would do if someone took nursing away from her. And in my opinion, she has more chemistry with Derek than she does with Ted. And what's up with her not wanting to kiss Keith? Like, they have not like kissed in the mouth since that one kiss on New Year's Eve. Like, it's always the side of the face. I mean, I guess, everybody ain't with that kissing stuff, I guess, but you are also an actor and this is comes with the territory. I don't know. I'm not judging. It's none of my business. We're good. Maybe Keith's breath stink. I don't know. Then we have stupid Ashley. She is talking to Grayson and she has um organized some long-term care facilities for him, for his mother, and overstepping her boundaries because they don't even know each other like that. Like, are they even an exclusive item, or are they just kicking it? Like, Ashley is being Ashley and she's doing too much. And he pretty much gets snappy with her because she's doing too much. And when he gets snappy with her, she's feeling the kind of way. But then he comes back um, a little while later and he kind of like smooths it over with her, telling, if he could do better for his mom, he would. But, he got student loans and he got, this is the best he can do. He's lying. Or he may be telling the truth, but he's also a criminal. He's definitely a criminal. And Ashley is just falling for it because she wants to fall for it. Because I feel like some warning bells should be going off for her. But, it is what it is. But that was today's episode. Let me know in the comments what you all thought about today's episode, and then I'll be here tomorrow to discuss tomorrow's. Let's talk Beyond the Gates for today, February 19th, 2026. Today, we started the episode with the Grands at the country club. They're having lunch. I'm guessing this is either a chemo day or like a few days after chemo where Anita is still feeling the side effects. So the waiter is telling them, what they have for a special because we all know it's Mardi Gras season. So they have, you know, New Orleans themed dishes for special. And Anita had a Mardi Gras party before she started chemo. So like normally that would be something that she would like to partake in, but because of the chemo, she's not feeling well and she's not feeling up to up to that. So Vernon is being Vernon, and because she can't have it, he's not gonna have it, which I just love that they're so cute. And so he, tells the waiter that they're not gonna have any of that. They're gonna eat off the regular menu. And they're just chit chat and here comes annoying Leslie. And I am sick of her. Like her presence is going beyond annoying at this time because I don't. Anyway, she comes over and she wants to collect on something that she purchased during Winterfest, which was a lunch with the Articulettes. The Articulettes aren't at the table. There's only Anita. Like, leave her alone. Like, these people don't bother you, and you're just hell bent on bothering them, and it's crazy. But she wants to collect, and Vernon and Anita, they're like, well, you have to go through the proper channels in order to cash in on that and schedule it for a time where the articulates are available. And they're not available right now, Sharon and Tracy, because they're currently on tour and their tour probably will get extended. Like, you got to schedule it. You can't just come. And she was like, I'm going to get my lunch now. I paid $10,000. And she sits down at their table and then she starts talking. She should be banned from the country club simply because of her conversation. Because what in your right mind makes you think that the conversation that you are having is appropriate to be having sitting at the dining room in the dining room at the country club? And I just don't get it. She starts talking about when she lost her virginity. No one wants to hear that. And I loved when Gran was like, and why would you think I want to know this? Like, cause why, girl? What are you doing? So anyway, she just keeps doing too much to the point where the Grands are like, yeah, we're leaving. And Anita gets up and she gets immediately dizzy. And then Leslie tries to be helpful and said, let me go ahead and get you some of that crab dip. You need something to eat because Vernon ain't letting you eat. And Vernon was like, look, my name is Vernon. And she was like, oh, so formal for a family, for a member of the family. And he was like, not my family. Cause girl, please go on somewhere. And the Grands end up leaving, and she, you know, even though it was a little stressful, she appreciated Vernon not like covering over her or making her feel like she can't handle Leslie. So she, thanked him for that, and they left. But girl, I can't. I don't know how much of this Leslie foolishness I can take because this is just too much for me. Meanwhile, Elon and Jacob are at the police station, and Jacob is gonna get himself killed. I'm just trying to tell y'all now. Don't be surprised if he A gets killed or B comes dangerously close and he ends up very seriously injured because he's a little bit too eager. And I know he wants respect from his dad, and he's like, "Oh, they taught us. They taught us." Yeah, this ain't gonna end well. Especially how it ended up with him and Naomi in their last scene. I don't know. I don't know if Jacob gonna make it out alive. Jacob might be the beyond the gate second death. I'm sorry to put my mouth on you or whatever, Jacob, but I don't see you making it out of this because you too eager, and I feel like you're gonna make a mistake because you're too eager and you too Boy Scout to be going undercover and doing what undercover thinks. Because why were you even thinking about whether or not you were going to, do that initiation thing? It's no question. That's what your job is when you go undercover. Like you gonna have to be dirty, and you like Malone. And I don't even like Malone, but like Malone said, you a Boy Scout. Like what? Then Tomas is at the food court with Lynette, and he trying to get Lynette in line, talking about some. You shouldn't be going to Haley. You need to come to me. I'm your point of contact. And then she getting all smart, talking about some. I need my charges dropped, and you don't act like you don't understand. So maybe I need to call your boss. And he was like, I hear what you're saying. She said, I can't tell. And I just want to know why she just thinks that anyone in the law firm can just get your charges dropped. It don't work like that. They didn't bring the charges. They can't just get them dropped. Like that is up to a judge and other channels. It's not up to them. But she wants Tomas to get her charges dropped, and Tomas don't want her to go to Bill because he made a comment about I'm your point of contact and Haley is just a paralegal. And she was like, oh, you talking about the boss's wife like that? Like, oh my God. Like, girl. And while she's talking to Tomas, she gets a call from Randy, and Randy is basically like, get down to Uptown now. And she goes down to Uptown, and he basically relays the information that Joey is looking and, whatever. And she was like, well, I don't see what that got to do with me. And he was like, well, let me tell you this. If I go down, you and Haley going down too. And so she's standing there looking crazy because she is crazy. I don't know what to tell. I don't know. Anyway, so what's her name is back at the hotel. Caroline has left. She was on the phone with Bill. And while she's talking with Bill, there's a knock at the door, and she goes and opens the door, and it's Naomi. So Naomi comes over, and she's just checking on Haley, after the attack, because Naomi and Ashley were there when she was brought into the hospital. And so Haley starts getting flipped, and she's like, why are you really here? I'm like, girl, ain't you tired of doing this all day? Like, I know you got to be tired because I'm tired for you. But anyway, she's like, what you really doing here? And she's like, wait a minute, my motives for being here are sincere. And she was like, oh, because some people might think that this is my karma for what I did or whatever. And she was like, especially your mom. And I'm like, Danny, don't think about you as much as you think about Danny. I'm so sick of these women. These women, it's her, Haley on Beyond the Gates, got Danny on her brain constantly. And then that stupid ass Jordan on General Hospital got Portia on the brain. Like, Portia don't think about you. Yes, Portia don't want her kid around her, rightfully so. But Portia don't got Jordan on her mind as much as Jordan has Portia on her mind. I mean, she can't even have a conversation with Curtis without bringing Portia up. Like, it's sick at this point. But anyway, um, Haley was like, oh, thank you for coming. And I know I didn't cherish our friendship and blah, blah, blah. And she's trying to have a moment. And then when Bill walks in, Naomi pulls her hands back because you ain't gonna have no moment with me. But they end off pretty decent. And Naomi mentions to her dad that, her and Jacob are missing one another. And now Bill is a little bit worried, as he should be, because his daughter is about to be a widow. But I'll see y'all tomorrow. Let's talk Beyond the Gates for today, February 20th, 2026. So today we start the episode. I actually don't know what the episode started with because we were a bit behind, about 2 minutes late because of orange people interrupting television, but I digress. But we have the Grands. They are talking, and Anita is basically asking for a little bit of space, and Vernon is like, yeah, you're not getting no space. He's like, no, basically. And, he's putting his foot down with her. And while they're talking or whatever, Anita gets a phone call from Jacinda, and Jacinda is basically saying that she heard that, Anita had one too many at the country club the day before. Anything that involves Leslie turns into a circus. And I don't know if Leslie told those lies or they like how they came to fruition, but anything involving Leslie is going to turn into a circus. And this was no different. And then while they're talking, Vernon gets a call from Nicole, and because Anastasia implied the same thing basically. And so she called Vernon gets a call from Nicole, and Nicole is asking, what's going on, because of course Nicole knows that her mother wasn't drunk and acting unseemly in person. But she calls her dad to ask him, what is going on. And he said, yeah, she was a little unsteady on her feet yesterday, but everything's good. And then when Anita gets off the phone, she decides that now is the time that I need to come forward and share my diagnosis, and use it as a way to call for awareness and everything so that they can get ahead of it, because people are just going to start making up stories, and then it's going to potentially affect, the charities and organizations that they work with. Then we have Chelsea and Madison. They're at Orphe Jeans and they're having breakfast and they're talking. And Chelsea is showing off her sparkler. It's beautiful, by the way. And they're talking, and she's like, I wish you didn't have to go to work. And Madison was like, well, I can chart here. So she goes outside to get her bag, and Mona comes over and congratulates them on their engagement. And then they come back and they are both working, Chelsea doing social media, and then um, Madison doing, her charts. And then, they finish, and, um, Chelsea once again brings up the fellowship. And Madison's like, are we on that again? Like, girl, I'm cool, right? So then, Madison leaves to go to the hospital, and Chelsea goes to the hospital to take her badge because she left it behind, and to also talk to her about, you know you know choosing her over her career, because she doesn't want to be in a situation where her mom was when her mom chose Bill over her career, and then everything with her and Bill torpedoed, and she doesn't want Madison. And it's kind that she's so thoughtful, but like, girl, people are grown. You told her that she didn't have to make that decision for you, so she can't blame you for a decision she made. You told her that you all could make it happen, long distance. She decided to do that, but I digress. So she goes to the hospital and she's talking to her dad and Haley. And Haley is, congratulating them. And then she was like, "Oh, I'm glad that you have well wishes." And then Bill like kind of interrupts the conversation, and then Haley goes off to see the doctor. And then when she goes off to see the doctor, you know, Chelsea expresses that she doesn't want Madison to make the same mistakes that her mom made. And while when she leaves to go talk to Madison, Bill makes a call and he's trying to get some funds together to do something, but we don't know what it is. Come to find out, when Chelsea is in the middle of speaking to Madison, Madison gets a phone call, and it's from the person that she was supposed to be doing the fellowship with, and they say that they got a endowment, and in order for them to get the endowment, they have to open a US leg here in DC, and they want her to do that. And she's all happy, problem solved. And Chelsea knows this is her dad and she is appreciative. But my question is, when she finds out that it came from Bill, is it going to backfire? I'm talking about Madison. So then we have Bill and Haley. They are at the hospital because Haley had a headache and he wants to get her checked out. And then she wants to go to Uptown for something to eat. And he's like, you sure that you're good with going to Uptown? Because, she was attacked outside of Uptown. And she's like, no, I can go there. And then they go there, and immediately it's like, oh no, I don't want to be here. And it's not because of the reason that Bill assumes, which is that, she's having flashbacks from when she was attacked. It's because Randy is there and he's there with Joey. And Bill's like, isn't that guy Sammy that helped you during your miscarriage? And she's like, oh, I don't know. It's been a long time since I seen him. So he wants to go over there and speak. But she's like, well, you go ahead and I'm going to sit over here at the bar. And he goes over and he's speaking to Sammy and thank you for helping my wife. And he's talking to Joey. And Sammy excuses himself to go over and speak to Haley. And Bill asks Joey how he knows Sammy, and then Joey covers for Randy and says, "Oh, he's just someone that I know from around the casino." And um the walls are closing in on Haley and Randy and Lynette. They better get themselves together real quick because it's getting a little too close for comfort because um Joey has warned Randy yet again, when your mess comes to my doorstep. Then we have Joey and Vanessa, and she's telling him that she's going to meet Nicole so that they can prep her granddaughter for cotillion. And he was like, "Oh, you a blue blood, blah blah blah." Anyway, she goes over there to help Nicole, and Nicole said, "We're not going to do cotillion prep. I meant to text you." And Samantha admits that she partially didn't want to do it because she still doesn't have an escort. And then Vanessa says she can help with that, and Nicole loses her mind because she actually thought that Vanessa was trying to hook Samantha up with an escort from her agency. Girl, be for real. But it wasn't an escort from her agency, it was actually her son Donnell. And then we have Mona and Randy. And either Mona trying to get Randy to be her new man or she trying to get him saved. Either way, is a win is a win. But this was a decent week of Beyond the Gates. I'm excited about next week, and I'll be back next week um to further discuss. Bye bye.